welcome to this session on Lean Sigma awareness. My name's Paul Swift. I'm going to take you through some of the basic principles of Lean Sigma to give you an overview of what it's all about. First of all, let me just introduce you to myself and my company. As I said, my name's Paul Swift. I run a company called Beyondlean Ltd. We specialise in business improvement consultancy, management coaching, internal improvement team coaching and mentoring, and training both online and offline, classroom based. So getting started, the history of lean manufacturing. As you can see from the slide, it goes back a hell of a lot further than where most people think it started, in Toyota. You go back to sort of the 1800s, Eli Whitney, interchangeable parts, rifle manufacturer. So that was at the start of some of the thinking that eventually led to lean manufacturing. We've got to move right forward post World War II. Japanese economy was in ruins, and Deming and Duran impart their knowledge to the Japanese, to Shingo, to Ono, who then took that on, and there was born the Toyota production system, which was a forerunner of what we know today as lean manufacturing, a phrase that was coined in the late 20th century in the book The Machine That Changed the World. So what is lean? It works in any repeatable process, and it's a fundamentally different way of managing and developing processes. Originally based upon Japanese manufacturing methodologies, although from the previous slide you can see it goes back a lot further than that. It's about doing the most with the least consistently to a set quality level. The world leader in lean is seen to be Toyota, but there are also a lot of other companies that employ lean manufacturing, lean service in today's world, as well as Six Sigma. So we've talked a little bit about what lean is. Let's talk about what lean isn't. It's not about getting your workforce to work faster and faster. It's not about blindly implementing a set of improvement tools, and it's not only of value in high volume processes or about having a tidy up. And it's definitely not incompatible with other improvement methodologies, for example Six Sigma. And if you walk into an organisation and they tell you they've been leaned, I can pretty much guarantee that they don't get it, and they certainly haven't been leaned. So it's about closing that gap between what makes up your everyday activities in terms of value adding and non-value adding activity, increasing the amount of value add and reducing the amount of non-value add. So you don't do any more activity during the day, it's just more of what you do actually adds value. So that was lean. Bit of history about Six Sigma. So where did that start? Initially Motorola first coined the phrase, 1987. Closely followed by Texas Instruments, ABB, Allied Signal, General Electric, and it is about getting your processes on target with minimum variation. So, as I said, came from Motorola. They recognised that sufficient process improvement wouldn't occur using a conventional approach to quality. Developed to help them reduce variation within a process by focusing the effort on improving inputs to a process rather than reacting to outputs. So if you get standardised inputs, you get standardised outputs. Or the more commonly used phrase, garbage in, garbage out. On the flip side of that, quality in, quality out. So the process they were looking at, it was failing customer expectations. So traditionally, processes aim for process capability of 3 to 4 sigma, which gives you a CPK equivalent to 1 to 1.33, or 93 to 99.3% acceptable right first time. Which meant the customer received 6,200 defective products per million at best. Six Sigma processes now aim for that Six Sigma quality level with a CPK of 2, meaning the customer would receive 3.4 defective products per million opportunities. So what does that mean in a little bit more English? So CPK is process capability but centred. Now CP is process capability, but if it isn't centred around your mean, then it may not meet all your requirements. So you look at the diagram on the left, 3 sigma gives you a process capability of 1 CPK. So if the process or the lorry slightly varies, then the scrap or damage will occur. With 6 sigma capability, process capability of 2 CPK, if the lorry varies, there won't be any scrap or damage. Just to explain that a little bit more. So, is this process inherently capable? The width of the car represents the control limits for the process. The gap through the arch represents the custom spec limits. Now the process is inherently capable, but only if it's centred. As you can see, the process is off centre, then it won't be capable, even though it is within those limits if it's on centre. Here it doesn't matter the process is off centre, but I would feel a little more comfortable if it were nearer the centre. And here the process isn't capable. So understanding variation. So variation exists in everything. Even the best machine can't make every unit exactly the same. Improved capability becomes a necessity due to the need of improved designs, lower costs, better performance, and all of this leads to the need of tighter tolerances. This means the ability to operate to a tight tolerance without producing defects becomes a major advantage. Or in other words, if you don't strive to get better and better and improve your quality more and more, you can be sure that your competitors will. So some of the goals of Six Sigma. It's about improved customer satisfaction, reduction of defects, the reduction of variation, improvement of yield, higher operating income, improved process capability, defeating the competition and breakthrough improvements. So Six Sigma objectives are directly and quantifiably connected to the objectives of the business and the customer. So just to give you an idea of what the Sigma values represent. So Six Sigma gives you 99.99966% yield, or 3.4 defects per million opportunities. That's what the DPMO stands for. And so on and so forth. Right down to 2 Sigma, which gives you a 69.2% quality rate, or 300,000 defects per million opportunities. So that's 3 in 10 of your processes are failing. So just to compare the two, you've got lean, producing on product flow, the elimination of waste, value in the eyes of the customer, simplify, reduce your complexity, make your demand flow, and continuously improve your organisation. Six Sigma, focusing on your quality improvements, using Pareto, variation reduction, elimination of scrap and rework, controlling your processes, and continuously improving those processes once you've stabilised them. So just to sum it up in very simple terms, lean, getting things moving quicker, Six Sigma, reducing your variation and giving you a greater degree of accuracy. So can you afford one without the other? I hear a lot of companies say, well, we're going the lean route, or we're going this Six Sigma route. Why would you want to eliminate one of them from the way you're thinking? I've used both these sets of methodologies in many different companies, and it's about looking at the organisation that you're dealing with and looking at which fits that organisation. Don't try and make your organisation fit one of these methodologies. Take the parts that you need from both of these methodologies and make that fit the culture and the organisation that you're working in. So why would we want to bother with Lean Sigma? First of all, to retain and attract new customers, and also to ensure we remain competitive and fend off competition from rivals. Little story I was told a few years ago. Two people were out on safari. Now at the end of the day, driving back across the Serengeti, and the jeep they were in ran out of fuel. They'd run out of ammunition, so they had no bullets for the guns, and lions were starting to circle. They were still a mile away from the base camp, from safety. Now one of the two hunters decided to start putting on his running shoes, which he had in his backpack. The person he was with just looked at him and said, "Why are you bothering with your running shoes? You're never going to outrun the lions." To which he just turned and replied, "I don't need to outrun the lions, I just need to outrun you." And it's the same in business. You just need to remain ahead of your closest competitor to ensure you remain in business. So next we're going to cover 5 principles of Lean and how they link into Six Sigma. First of all, specify value. Listen to the voice of the customer. So to specify value, we have to talk to our customer. We need to gather their requirements to define value in terms of the specific products or services, capabilities, attributes, got to be offered at the right price, and delivery requirements of the customer. So value can be perceived by the customer in 3 dimensions: quality, cost, and delivery. If we don't maintain a balance, then something will fail. So if you focus too much on quality, your costs are going to go up, you may not hit your delivery times or requirements. Focus too much on cost, quality may be impacted. So you've got to get that balance. First of all, we're going to look at quality. Deming's message to Japan in 1950 was simply this: improve quality. Your costs are going to decrease because there's less rework, fewer mistakes, fewer delays, less snags, better use of machine time and materials. Therefore, your productivity will improve. Therefore, you'll capture the market with better quality and lower price. Therefore, you're going to stay in business and provide jobs and more jobs. Now that is what business improvement is all about. So what do we mean by quality? This is about conformance to customer requirements, fitness for purpose, satisfying the customer needs, delighting the customer wherever possible, meeting the requirements in a way that delights the customer. So when we talk about quality, most people say, well, 99.9%, surely that's acceptable. That would mean 30,000 letters lost by the Royal Mail every day, 5,000 unnecessary hospital operations every year in England alone, 5,000 cheques processed to wrong accounts every hour by the clearing banks, or 5 plane crashes every day in the UK, and an hour without electricity every month. So, do we still think 99.9% quality is acceptable? So the focus is on the customer. Recognise customers' perceptions are reality to the customer. Remember these 2 rules. Customer's always right, and if in doubt, refer to rule 1. So when we're serving customers, do we solve the customer's problem completely? Do we provide exactly what the customer wants in the right order? Do we deliver it where it's wanted? Do we supply it when it's wanted? And do we continually reduce the customer's time and hassle in solving their problems? And this is something we can maybe use some consumption mapping to identify. So the thing I want you to think about Now, who is your customer? So think about your own company. Who's your customer? What do they want? Obviously, it's in a classroom session, so you can share your thoughts with the people within your own organisation. Next step, identify your value stream. So this can be defined as your process steps essential to transform the raw materials into the required product or service from customer inquiry through to customer receipt. Next 3 stages, your 5 principles of lean: create flow, create pull, strive for perfection. So some of the basic tools and techniques we're going to look at, and you've got your PDCA cycle, your DEMING'S, lean production systems. When you look at these, they're all very structured ways of problem solving, of running projects. They're different names for the same thought process. So it doesn't matter which of these you use, as long as you know where you're going and you have a plan to get there. So, Lean Sigma Improvement Strategy. MURI focuses on preparation and planning of a process. MURA, implementation and elimination of fluctuation at operations level. And MUDA, removal of waste. So Lean and Six Sigma are essentially 2 sides of the same coin, with some slightly different terminology. We'll look at the classic picture here of the tree with the fruit on it, the grown fruit, and in some instances I've seen this just called intuition and logic. This is not, this is about getting stability, this is about getting standardisation in place and getting some basic management principles around that. Your low hanging fruit, your basic Lean and Six Sigma tools apply. Bulk of your fruit, process characterisation and optimisation. So, but in this low hanging fruit and the grown fruit, there will be more than enough there, just getting the basics in place, usually to give your organisation 20 to 30% uplift in productivity and increase in your bottom line. So again, a graphical representation of how those Lean and Six Sigma efforts would combine. So some of the Lean Sigma tools and techniques. So waste, or MUDA, is anything that doesn't add value to the customer. How does it work? Well, to help identify waste, use something called TIMWOOD. Use this when we're focusing on operational efficiency. So 7 forms of process waste. Overproduction. Now, this often leads to many of the other wastes. Then you've got inventory, waiting, motion, transportation, defects, and overprocessing. Always remember, eliminating waste is one of the quickest, easiest and cheapest ways of improving your organisation. So there you go again, there's TIMWOOD and the representative wastes. So can you think of any waste in your current work process or your current organisation? It might be worth pausing this now, going away and having a look at that. Another one of the basics tools is putting in place standardised processes. Again, this is one of the things that will give you great benefits right at the ground level, but it has to permeate right through the levels of the organisation. So it's no good just, writing a lot of process maps, user guides and putting those in place unless you know they're going to be adhered to, and that's where your basic management comes into place to ensure that they are adhered to. So what is a standardised process? It's an approved written procedure. It could have diagrams, flowcharts or photographs in it. Steps of an operation in the correct order, identifying the critical points, any quality checks and any process aids or tools you may need. It tells you the how as well as the what. So some of the benefits: eliminating process variability. leads to reduced mistakes and improved service quality, improved productivity, planning, more effective integration of new staff and training, very, very fast dissemination of process improvements and other interventions. So how could you benefit your current operation by the introduction of standardised processes? Another one of the basic tools, 5S. This is the one that many people mistake for just having a tidy up. Now, 5S is a systematic approach to workplace organisation, encouraging ownership to sustain and further develop the working environment. The aims are to remove waste from the workplace, improve safety, provide an environment where continuous improvement is embraced, and also give a standard to the workplace as well as the processes. So the 5S's are translated into English: sort, set in order, shine, standardise and sustain. Next simple tool, CCAR. Sometimes turned the other way around, known as races, but CCAR gives you the letters in the correct order. So first of all, when we're looking at a department, an organisation, a process, first of all let's look, can we simplify it? Can we cut out any of the steps that are unnecessary, that have just been there for many years and no one really knows why? Can we eliminate some of the waste? Going back to tin wood. Can we combine some of the operations to again make it work a little more smoothly? Can we automate part of it? Or can we reduce some of the work that we do or relocate it closer to the customer? So it's the start of a thought process. So some of the benefits of Lean Sigma: we aren't pioneers, we need to learn from what others have done and mistakes they've made. The biggest lesson we can learn is that individually, Lean and Six Sigma are very powerful tools. However, when they're used effectively together, that power is exponentially increased. So here's a little table that just shows some of the benefits, some of the origins, the typical tools used, and what you can expect as some of the outcomes. Again, as I say, using lean manufacturing or Six Sigma in isolation will give you some benefits. When you put the two together and use the right tool for the job and tailor that methodology to suit your organisation, the results that you get will be exponentially increased. So the new paradigm of Lean Six Sigma transcends more than just a production system. It is a new way of thinking about organising the improving operations. Traditionally, one often associates Lean Six Sigma with a collection of tools and techniques on the factory floor. However, there are several tiers in how the new thinking can be applied. At the highest level, the concepts of Lean Six Sigma can be successfully applied across any industry or sector of the economy, such as construction, aerospace and financial environments. The next level down, the operating practices of Lean Six Sigma need to be tailored to a degree, such as the high level design of a pull system. On the most pragmatic level, the tools and techniques aim to identify and eliminate waste, as well as improving quality and reducing variation in a particular environment, and these tools have to be tailored to that particular environment. Here's a cartoon. Don't know the author of it. I'd love to give them some credit here, but this just makes me smile every time I hear in an organisation, we haven't got time to look at Lean Sigma. It's going to be too much work, and just the sentiment of this rings true every time. That's all for this session. Here are some of our other resources. They're available from the websites you can see on here. Thank you for your time. I hope this was useful for you.